Happy Tuesday, friends. Welcome to actually my first challenge of the month. I thought I would hold this up to symbolize the baton highlighter, but let's pretend it's a baton that Izzy is passing to me for the month of October. A very exciting month. We have Max, whether you're joining us in Miami, which hopefully doesn't get messed up by this weather that's about to arrive, or you're streaming it online. Both are great options. This is a very exciting month for us. I'm going to be working from Express with the 3 challenges that I'm going to be bringing you this month. I'll go ahead, share my screen. We will hop in and take a look at what we're going to do today in a short amount of time. So all of the challenges, I should say, this month are going to be business related, brand building exercises. They're all going to be something we can do from Adobe Express, my favorite platform to create standout content. We just came off of an Ask a Designer show where we worked alongside Express and ChatGPT. We're going to do the same today to write your brand statement. We'll do that for the first half of this stream, and then we're going to work on a mood board together. Again, in our stream, my stream with Izzy, we touched on this, but I'm going to go into more detail on that in this stream. So, friends, I want to say hello in the chat. I see Ray, I see Robert, see some familiar faces. I'm so glad you're here. I hope that today's exercise is going to be useful for you. So let's start at the very beginning. So in this challenge, we're going to be using AI to help write a brand statement. This is absolutely relevant for every single creator, designer, creative pro, entrepreneur that is watching this. We all need to learn the ability to sum up our brand in a sentence. And I have a formula for it. So I should also mention what you're seeing on screen is my remixable template. These are the files that you should work from. In an ideal world, for the next half hour, whether you're live or you're watching the replay, I would love for you to work alongside of me to actually put this into place. You're taking the time to watch it, so why not actually take the time to do it at the same time? Friends, when I'm positioning a brand, and by the way, if you're confident, I like people that participate in the classroom. You can actually put your answers into the chat. I may, for time's sake, since we've got a lot to cover, I may just simulate an answer, but I would love, start thinking about your answer to these questions that I have on the screen. We'll go through them in the moment, but I'd love for you to actually put your answers in the chat. And if I can catch those in time, I'll actually use them and we'll write your brand sentence. So 3 questions that I ask my clients. I'm a brand strategist, by the way. And my job is to help people and companies position, build, and promote their brands. Notice how I summarize that in a sentence? That's what we're going to do for you right now. 3 questions you need to ask yourself and then answer, which you can do in this template. Number 1, what do you provide? What do you provide? Idara, thank you so much for putting the remixable template. Link in the chat. Friends, I want you thinking about what do you provide? And in the meantime, I'm going to answer this question. I provide branding services and sponsored content that I can create as dedicated videos for marketing platforms. Okay. And maybe marketing and content platforms. I do 2 things. I own a branding agency. I say that my adult job, I help people and companies position, build, and promote their brands. But my fun job that has really actually become my main job is creating content. Adobe Express is one of the companies that actually the biggest client that I've worked with over the years. I've worked with over 100 since I launched my YouTube channel around pre-pandemic. So first question, what do you provide? Okay. What do you provide? Think about your answer. We only need it in about a sentence or 2. Number 2, who do you help? So I help, really have 2 audiences. I help solopreneurs. Let me spell it properly. Solopreneurs, professionals, content creators, and personal brands with my agency. For sponsored content, I primarily work with marketing platforms and software companies. Okay, fantastic. We're moving fast, friends. We're moving fast because there's a lot I want to get done in the next 20 or so minutes. Third question that you need to answer for us to be able to take the input here and put it into our prompt that I wrote for you is this. 3, why are you better than anyone else at this? This is probably the hardest question. I see Clever have put an answer here. I think I might want to use yours instead. I'll come back to this. But yes, put your answers in the chat, the live chat if you're here, because we can actually do some exercises with it. 3, why are you better than anyone else at this? So, hardest question to answer, but a really important one. It gets you self-reflecting. It's important to take the time to actually answer this. If you still don't know the answer, my recommendation is to ask it to friends, clients that you're comfortable with, people that have worked with you and can vouch for why they chose you over someone else. Okay. So I'm going to, why are you better at anyone else in this? So I believe that my product and service is high quality and high touch. Let me spell it correctly. It's because everyone's watching and I'm typing. I'm like, then I never get it right. High touch. So I work closely with my clients, and my process is very thorough, never rushed. For my content is similar. I take the time to do this properly. So what you just observed was me not overthinking my answers to these 3 questions. What do you provide? Who do you help? And why are you better than anyone else at this? Chat, let me know how comfortable you are using generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. There are lots of them out there. Keys. You are funny. Door openers, I'm available with the key fob. That's funny. Don't overthink your answers to these questions. It's important to just get something down. Know that when we're using generative AI tools, it doesn't have to be perfect. And a lot of times it's just the beginning of a conversation. Don't put immense pressure on yourself to get everything perfect. So the second page of this remixable template, again, linked in the description below, will give you the copy and pastable prompt. I'm going to read it quickly, just so you can see what we have here. After you've answered the questions on the previous page, which we just did, type this prompt into ChatGPT or another tool that I named to determine your brand sentence. So I'm going to copy it. We're going to move over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste it. And I will format this a little bit so that it's easier for you to read. But the prompt goes like this. Using the following information, please create a concise and powerful brand sentence in this format. I am a title who helps audience, verb, value. If you have seen my Adobe live streams before, including some that I've done in studio from San Francisco, this is the brand sentence formula that I'm often doing when positioning a personal brand before we put pen to paper or mouse to screen and create in Adobe Express. Okay. Very important that we have strong positioning, a strong foundation for the brand before we build any visuals. So that's the formula that I tell ChatGPT. I can't expect that it knows my formula, so I feed that in. And then I'd say, ensure the sentence is succinct and impactful, in for the appropriate title based on the provided information. Who do you help? Okay. These are placeholders that we're going to paste in from our template. Who do you help? What do you provide? And why are you better than anyone else at this? So in the meantime, while I do some switching between the tabs here to paste in my answers, I would like you thinking about your answers to these questions. There's number 1. Here is number 2. And here is number 3. It's just 3 questions, friends. Should be straightforward. To answer these and get them into our prompt. Again, working from ChatGPT, but you're welcome to use any other generative AI tool. Okay, last sentence goes like this. Please edit the information if necessary to ensure the brand sentence is clear and effective. Let's click enter. Let's watch ChatGPT do its thing. Wow. I did not tell it that I'm a brand strategist. I did not tell it that, but it inferred that from the input that I wrote without overthinking it. And I am a brand strategist. That's been my title. Well, they say branding strategist. But that's pretty cool because this is very close to my actual brand sentence. I'm a brand specialist or strategist rather, who helps solopreneurs, professionals, and content creators build impactful brands with high quality personalized service. This could probably use a little bit of workshopping. And let me show you if you feel the same way when you get your output. Let me show you how you might do that. This feels like it could be better. Can you give me 3 more options? First, ask me 2 questions to provide better input to get a better answer. I talk to ChatGPT just like I would a person, okay? And I'm never going to tell you you have to write a prompt this way and not this way. You will build your confidence in writing your own prompts through experience, through trial and error, and learning how it works and reacts to what you feed into it. But the general rule is the better the input, the better the output. Just like when we're working with Generate Image and Express, powered by Firefly, it's very similar, but again, this is just text. So to make this phrase stronger, here are 2 questions to refine this direction. When you say high quality, personalized service, what specific qualities or results set your work apart from others? I like that question, and I would take the time to answer that. How do you want your clients to feel after working with you? Another really good question. Notice that it gives examples. These are likely words and descriptors that are going to make that brand sentence better. So, great questions, but I don't have time to answer them. Can you give me 3 better options? That's kind of a funny thing to say because I'm just watching the clock. There we go, friends. So if you're not happy with what you get from generative AI, don't have a tantrum. Don't storm out of the room and go, I hate ChatGPT. Just say, hey, I don't like that. Give me some ideas for improvement. And we can really continue to have this kind of conversation back and forth to land on a brand sentence that we like. I'm going to check the chat over here. That's why I'm tilting my head. Clever says, does Adobe Acrobat AI thing do such things? Yes. So Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant, I have lots of experience using. I don't know who we have as our mod in here. It might be you, Clever. But I actually have a video on YouTube where I showcase 20 ways that you can use Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant. I'll make sure that I post a link to it in the comment section on this video stream if you want to check that out. But yes, the short answer is yes. I particularly like AI Assistant because it will source anything that it outputs on the document that you provided. So think about uploading blog posts, your resume, call transcripts. It is the perfect tool. It is better than ChatGPT if you need to create or extract content or ideas that you can formulate through conversation with documents that you provided. In this case, I'm working from Chat just because this is obviously the most popular tool that people know and are still learning how to use. So, but yes, the short answer is yes, we could easily do this in Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant. Good question. Watching the clock, friends. So let me just paste the brand sentence that I like the best. It's going to be the second one. But again, your brand sentence is something you should be revisiting often. I say again, but I didn't actually say that. So let me say it. Your brand sentence is something that should be constantly evolving. Revisit this as your own business and positioning evolves. For example, I've owned a branding agency for 13 years. I only started creating content on YouTube 4 years ago. Adobe Express is one of the first brands that I partnered with. I partnered with over 100 brands now in terms of creating sponsored content, and that's now become the focus of my brand. And so I'm in a position where I'm slightly shifting things around as I answer the question, who am I and why should someone care? That's really what we're aiming to do with this brand sentence. Who are you and why should anyone care is the question we want to answer. If we're feeling good, check in the chat. If we're feeling good, I'm going to move on to the mood board. So think of today's challenge, and I want you working alongside of me ideally. Think of today's challenge as like the starting point for all of this, okay? We need to be able to sum up who we are and why people should care in a sentence, your brand sentence. And ideally, we start to explore visuals. And I know we've got a lot of creative pros here. You're working with clients, so this is useful for you maybe on the other side of it. If you're working with a designer or a creative, maybe you're a designer and you're working with someone to create a web page, just like we did recently on Ask a Designer. Same thing. A mood board really is the most effective way to speak the same design language with someone. Okay. And so I'm going to show you some tools today, all within Adobe Express. Again, this is a template. I like for there to not be any variables here. I want it to be very, very clear for you. You know exactly how to create this. Okay. It's somewhat subjective. We're combining colors and textures, but you can see here, I've actually gone ahead and provided prompts for you to actually find images that can go and live on your mood board. So I love Pinterest for this. The instructions are here. Open Pinterest, search for 8 images total. You can actually search for more, but I would just place them on the canvas and then whittle this down to ideally 8, maybe 10. I've got 8 spots. You can modify this however you want, but ideally, you can see here, this is like a little mood board. You can see in action, actually, for some of my client projects behind my head. Ideally, a mood board has 8 or so images and different sources of design inspiration. So that's what the prompt says. So let's start here. Interior design, one of my favorite sources of inspiration, not just logos, typography, and brand examples, but let's go beyond that to get some inspiration. So here, adjective interior design. This could be, let's do colorful. Let's do colorful interior design. Again, that adjective to kick off the word or the phrase, the search phrase can be anything you want. You won't necessarily just get colorful examples, but there's a few here that I like. I'm drawn to this one. We can click that and then save the image. It's furniture, etc. Notice what I can also do here, friends. Let me scroll in. This took us to Wayfair, which is a furniture store. I have the Adobe Express Google Chrome plugin installed. It is free and it is awesome. It looks like this. You can see here, I've got it installed. How is this useful for me when I'm creating a mood board? Check this out. Right click on that image, working out of Chrome. That's where this extension is available. Edit with Adobe Express, create a project, crop an image, remove background, resize, convert to JPEG. So I can quickly, if I want to use this image in my mood board, I can get that into Express in a single click. Okay, I've gone ahead and prepared an image here just for the purposes of time. I want to show you how this all works together and looks cohesive, even though our prompts are all different. So let's start with interior design. That's usually an unusual one to get started. Next, logo image. Self-explanatory, kind of important, particularly for like a branding project or a brand identity project. I always have some examples. That's not a logo. That's a business card. I think I mixed these two around, but you get the idea. Let me actually get rid of this one too so you can see. This is an example of a logo. So what are we looking at when we see an example here? We're looking at line weight. We're looking at color. We're looking at style. Not so much color, more just the feeling, the emotion, some of the aesthetic components. A mood board is a jumping off point, a diving board for you or for the client. Ideally, as I say here, pull images you like and try to have one consistent color, even if that color is kind of muted. Like that. See how there's just like light touches of rose. See how that, even though these are two completely separate projects, those images live really well together. Try to have one main color, not mandatory, but highly suggested. Let's look at a typography example. Okay. Again, this is not an exact science. What was that? That I think was a branding example. Yep. I pulled these from Pinterest. I pulled these from Behance. So let's actually take one of these phrases. Let's do sleek. Here I am on Behance, even though I'm streaming live on Behance. How meta. Sleek brand design. Okay, so I can scroll through here again. I'm creating something that is a conversation starter between me and my client, vice versa. So I'm always careful about lifting images from the internet. I'm not publishing these on my website somewhere without permission. This is an internal project, right? Only 2 people are going to see this, my client and my designer. So let's say, I like this image, for example, I might put that in my mood board. I've had the question here on live before, Phil, do I need to worry about the rights, copyright, etc.? Yes, you should always worry about those things. And you should ideally use images you have permission to use. I personally will occasionally break the rule, knowing that this is only going to be seen by 2 people, but it's something you should be conscious of. And I can't tell you to break the rules. If you want to play it safe, go to media and go to photos, or even go to elements in Express and go to design assets. Let's type in sleek. Let's see what comes up. Okay. Let's go to backgrounds. Let's do something like rows in backgrounds. Let's just see where we land. So like that's actually really cool, except I don't actually want it as a background. So I'll detach that from the background. I'll pop that in. Again, there's no exact science here, friends. Okay. Even that size is wrong, but I can update and adjust that later. So let me just uncover the remaining here. Even fashion, let's talk about that for a second. So we looked at interior design. A fashion example is a really good kind of outside the box keyword that you can look for. Something outfit. So it could be, I would probably go to Pinterest for that. Behance is a little more graphic design focused. So I would do something like sleek men's outfit. I don't know. You can maybe change outfit to something more specific. I might try to find something like rose. Just start, just play with keywords here. Okay, I love that. Love that little blazer. That would look amazing on this mood board that we're putting together. So hopefully here I've given you some ideas on where you can look for these images. Again, the reason you would use a mood board like this is that you want to be able to speak the same language with your creative, with your designer. And what do you do from this? Well, the mood board has to be right before I can begin a brand identity project. Like it has to be right. And I find in the middle of a brand identity project, designing a logo, color, typography, if a client is veering off from what we planned, instead of just letting them take control of the wheel and, holding on for dear life, we'll go back to the mood board and reconfigure it. Because I don't know how you feel about this, but I can't have a project with 100 revisions. Ain't nobody got time for that. So this is a way, hopefully, that you can just have that creative discussion, that alignment that will lead itself. Again, this is a springboard, a jumping off point for your creative projects. Clever says, existential crisis. Robert says, I have 2 minutes left. Yes, I'm keeping track, my friend. I'm keeping track. We're wrapping it up here. I'll just kind of recap what we talked about. Today's challenge, which has a remixable template, is all about getting you started. And we're using AI to kind of fuel this, which we'll continue to do for the remaining challenges this month. We'll talk about Instagram carousels. We'll talk about Pinterest pins. These are all part of a strategy that I'm devising with you to grow your brand and to grow your business online. But this right here is a starting point, starting with your brand sentence. Who are you? Why should people care? Answering these 3 questions, feeding them into our prompt that is pre-written for you, that will give you an output of the ideal brand sentence. I am a title who helps audience, verb, value. Once we feel good, using our little template here, we'll paste our brand sentence that we like. Once we are happy with that, we'll move on to the mood board process and we will fill in those variables. Omocorn says, quick question, which font is this? This is my brand font. It is called Coordinates. I love it. I'm glad you like it too. So friends, then we put visuals to the test, and that can then inspire the rest of the branding process. Any other questions? Last minute questions. I have 30 seconds left. Ray says, thanks, Phil. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I hope if you enjoyed this quick little Express workshop, Express workshop challenge, we call them, then you'll like the future ones, all designed to be able to enable you to create very quickly. So sharing your thought leadership in the form of an Instagram carousel. We're going to keep it very simple. I'm going to give you 2 templates. That's coming up in the next one. And then we're also going to talk about Pinterest, which I think is the most underrated social media platform. It's the easiest one to show up on, and it's the one that will drive the most traffic to your website if you do it correctly, implement your strategy. Friends, enjoy. And don't forget to tag me in your creations, either your brand sentence, share it on socials, or your mood board. I want to see what you create. Good luck and have fun. And I will see you on the next challenge. Thanks for playing along.